I feel like mine was more aggressive. How's it going? How you doing this week?
I'm all right.
Just all right?
Yeah. How are you?
Nothing you want to talk about?
I saw a frog just a minute ago.
Oh, you saw the first frog
the first
of this
frog,
year.
The first frog of this year and the season. I can hear them out there, but I can't see them yet.
Yeah, we get a lot of frogs over here by this house.
Which makes me very happy.
We also have like a lot of snails and worms.
Yeah.
Spiders. Ew.
A lot of outside things.
I think that's just because of the proximity of where we are in the world, but I don't like creepy crawlies.
I don't like creepy crawlies either, but I like frogs.
Frogs are cool.
Eat creepy crawlies.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Eat all the spiders, please.
Yes.
I really can't. I can't do it. I can't do the spiders.
Yeah.
They make
too creepy.
Yeah, they creep me out. I think this is going to be the first week where I don't get a writing thing up for Lehu, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I'm just kind of swamped.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff to do, and I have stuff started, but I don't think I'm going to have it finished by tomorrow, but
yeah.
We will see.
Hopefully by the time this episode airs, we will be on iTunes.
Oh, yeah. We were approved today.
Mm-hmm.
So they say it takes a couple of days to show up in the search, but we'll have a link on our website and you can go straight to it. But we should appear in the search soon too. Yeah. That was a tough thing to get.
To work around?
Yeah. I had to create a special feed just for iTunes to read, which I guess it doesn't it's not a big deal because everything's automated, but
still it's a pain in the tush.
Yeah. There's no manual effort there. It's just, I had to create a new thing for iTunes to see as opposed to Spotify or the regular coming to the website.
So we're still on YouTube and then we're somewhere on Spotify.
Well, Spotify,
that's what we're going to go with.
We are on Spotify, but you have to go to the direct link off the website because
so we're somewhere in there.
Yeah, you can't find us in the search at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I wrote to Spotify and asked them about it, and they just gave me some vague response about that's just the way it works. And
yeah, that's
not how search works anywhere else on the entire internet. So I don't know why Spotify has decided to reinvent that wheel. Yeah. Maybe they just don't know how to do it.
But iTunes
will be on iTunes.
I don't know why I'm excited, but I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I hope that it helps with a little bit of discovery maybe for listeners or whatever. There's a lot of things I'd like to do for the podcast on the website too. I'd like to set up a Discord for people to, talk about the episodes.
Oh, yeah.
In one central location instead of having all these different places. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to, do some advertising to try to grow our audience a little bit. Because I like doing this. Yeah. It's fun. I think we got a little bit of an uphill climb just because we're not like a specific niche that you can go, oh, you like this podcast about crime. You'd love this podcast.
Yeah.
We're kind of a variety show like Sonny and Cher. I just aged myself, but you know what I'm saying? Like we're just kind of more of a variety. Like we just talk about stuff that interests us, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking about that earlier too. I want to do fun stuff that I think is fun and nerdy and or funny. I just want to be funny. Yeah. And so if other people find that funny or, I'm sure nothing that we say is new information to anybody, but at least, to hear normal, regular people talk about stuff that, Yeah. It's kind of like, you can't be out in the world too much right now because there's a lot of like crazy people. Yeah. But as long as I find it funny, I think it would be.
Yeah. I want to talk about stuff that's interesting to us.
Yeah. I don't want to like make it too specific because then we're kind of stuck in that.
Yeah. And then you're stuck. And if it's not working, then you have to rebrand and, redo all that stuff. Yeah. That's the kind of the way that I've approached lehu.com for the 20 years that it's been online is just, what am I interested in? Mm-hmm. Let me share those things with everybody. Yeah. And I know that's hurt my ability to grow that website to something that would be, making me income or something. But I don't want to feel like I have to do, a specific kind of content week in, week out. Mm-hmm. Right. That's why like the drawings and the fiction is easy for me because if some weeks I'm feeling insightful or introspective and I want to write a personal piece, I can do that. And I'm not beholden to anybody.
Yeah.
Or if I want to draw some experimental thing in a style I've never attempted before, I can do that.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have to worry about like people getting pissed off because I'm not fulfilling the niche I'd promised.
Yeah. And just as like human beings, we're not just one thing. We have a lot of different like layers to ourselves. And so I like talking about different things. I'm interested in different things, and I know you're interested in different things. And, you know, we like talking to each other, and this is what that's supposed to be all about.
Yeah. I've always considered Lehu kind of like my creative junk drawer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's fun to go through it because there's so much stuff on there.
There's a lot of stuff on there, but yeah, it's just a junk drawer, right? And
I'm still gonna try to get you to like, you know, make me images and stuff so we can draw it from like Instagram or something.
I mean, it would only just take me like an afternoon on a Saturday to get that all set up. So maybe I'll just do that, and then you can just run that.
Yeah.
You can run my Instagram for me. Mm-hmm. I don't have like you have to do everything through the phone. I already feel like my hands are too big. I don't feel I like to type.
Yeah.
I don't like to thumb tap, right? And so Instagram is like, unless I really want to share something on there, it just seems like so much extra effort that I don't want to be putting in.
I know, but I've got like 5 minutes here and there's to do fun stuff on there that's kind of creative and whatever for me. So
you're also more used to interfacing the computer through your phone.
Yeah.
Than I am. I'm so used to having a giant screen and a keyboard and a mouse or a trackpad.
I have to be more mobile.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll get that together. I'll hook that up.
You should, because I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
And more people would see who you are.
Well, I don't know how many people.
Because you're pretty great. So.
Well, sometimes, So sometimes I'll like. I was telling you this earlier. Sometimes I'll look in the mirror and I'll go, "Oh, all right, hot damn, not too bad." And then
hot damn.
And then I'll go, I should get a picture of this. And then I'll go try to take a selfie, and then I go, and then the bags under my eyes, like the light is something about the lighting in the bathroom, or maybe it's the way the mirror reflects. I don't know, but I look good there. But then as soon as I start to try to take photographs of that, I'm like, I should not be documenting this.
You're like, what in the world am I doing?
And that's generally how I feel about like the creativity stuff that I put out in the world.
Yeah.
The writing and the drawings and anything else.
Yeah.
Is that like some days I'll be like, oh, goddamn, I'm a fucking genius. This happens a lot when I'm drawing. Like when I'm drawing, I'm in the zone, I'm drawing, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, fuck yeah, this is chef's kiss. And then I'll put it, as soon as I put it online,
you're like, oh, bad.
I go, oh God, what the hell? Why did I put that up? I should immediately take that down.
Yeah.
But then I fight that feeling because I know that that's just a normal, like imposter-y artist feeling. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to create the best things you've ever seen or read. I'm practicing.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing my practice. I'm sharing my process with you.
Yeah.
You know, if you find like a misspelled word or bad grammar in one of my written pieces, just pretend I did it on purpose. Yeah. Artistic license.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or nicely tell me about it, because it's going to be like telling me I got shit in my teeth. So, you know, I'm not super like insecure about it.
Yeah.
But I have these moments where I go through these hills and valleys of like, I should be doing this. I should be spending my time doing this.
Right.
And then, why am I bothering?
Right. Exactly.
You know? Like I'll write something and I'll be like, that's actually pretty good. And then I'll go read somebody else's article and I'll be like, who the fuck am I kidding?
Right. But that's to be human too. We all compare ourselves to others and to other things. And then we go, mine's not that important, but it is.
I think where it starts to get unhealthy though, is where it stops you.
Yeah.
Where you go, oh man, that's way better than what I did. I should give up.
Yeah.
But I don't do that. I go, that's way better than I did. Well, next time I'll do better. I'll just keep going on this one.
Yeah. It stops a lot of us. I don't know. I don't know how to like push through that and just go, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm just not good at Photoshop or whatever. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. You are good at editing photos. You just not with Photoshop. You prefer other tools, right? And you do a great job with those other tools. And those tools are available to you in Photoshop. But Photoshop at this point in time is just so complex.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've been using Photoshop for 20 years and I still have to go, where the fuck did they put the fill bucket tool? Why are they hiding it there now? Right?
I just can't do it.
And I just don't ever, I'm at this point now where I'm not using Photoshop as often. I still use it for like anything that's, very highly visual raster graphic-y, but I'm doing most work in Figma now that I can do. Right. And so I haven't even had the time to sit and like set up my toolbar and make all the tools I want. And, which is what I would do if I was using it day in, day out, like I used to. Because I have done that with Figma. I just have not done that with Photoshop in a long time. But it's just overly complicated. I wanted to talk about the shelves.
You
quick.
did. Your shelves started to come off the wall.
Yeah, I've got these deluxe versions of these games. And they're in basically almost a cube instead of a regular game box.
Yeah.
And they're super heavy. And I was just stacking them all on the same shelf over time, and I wasn't thinking anything of it. And I walked past the shelf the other day, and it kind of looked like it was leaning. And I was like, what the hell? And I looked, and it just had ripped the anchors right out of the wall.
That's not good.
No, it's not good at all. So what I did is I cleared all that off, and then I was like, I should have done this from the beginning, but I'll do it right now. I got out the stud finder. I found 3 studs, put in 3 new brackets, drilled them into the wall. They're in the studs. That thing ain't going nowhere. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. And so I did all the rest of the shelves except for the last one, because the last shelf is a discontinued IKEA shelf called a lac shelf. And it's literally made out of old recycled doors, but they're hollow. So drilling into those doors drills into nothing. And so there's nothing to screw into.
Right.
So I have to figure out a different way to attach that one to the wall. On the other hand, this shelf doesn't tilt or lean. The other ones were doing. So I'm not as concerned about it. And it doesn't have as much heavy stuff on it as these other shelves do.
Yeah. But it's looking better in here.
Well, yeah. So after I did that, I was like, well, fuck it. I will continue to go forward in here. And I started rearranging the office space to kind of give it. And there's a bunch more space in here now. And I still have a ways to go, but I'm going to get a lot of these games out of here. I think I'm at that point with this hobby where I'm like, okay, I've had my fun collecting games, playing them once, and then never pulling them off the shelf again. I'm going to go through and just find the games that I can't imagine not being able to play if I wanted to, which is going to be a very small number. And then from there go, okay, this game can go, this game can go, this game can go, and just start selling them off in batches until I want to clear 2 shelves.
Oh yeah.
Not 2 individual cubes, but 2 full shelves. So like,
right.
8 cubes each. Because I feel like that's a more reasonable game collection. And then I can have those shelves for other cool stuff like displaying Lego sets or miniatures or something, other things that are cool. Okay.
Good.
I go way off track on that.
No, but that's how
that's how you go about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You just do it a little bit at a time and then it all adds up.
Also, I don't know about these collector edition games.
Can we just talk about the inconsistency of the packaging alone is enough to drive someone bonkers because they don't match. Yeah. You can't put all of them on the same shelf because they just don't go together.
Yeah.
They don't match. No one game comes in the same exact size box. So now you've got all different size boxes. How are you supposed to display that?
It's really frustrating. And these boxes are like, they don't really fit on the Kallax shelves very well because they're either too wide or they're too tall. Yeah, they're frustrating. I like having them because they have everything that you could possibly have for that specific game is contained in one box. That's nice. But the box is still too big. Mm-hmm. Right? And then
it's a pain.
It's a definite pain. It's a definite problem. There are very few games I feel like their box size is warranted. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And it's even worse because I got a game in the mail the other day that I was expecting to be in a huge box because it's a very like supposed to be like a thinky game with a lot of pieces.
But it's barely the size of a piece of paper.
Yes, its footprint is smaller than a letter-sized piece of paper.
So if they can do that with that game, why can't they do that with all these?
I understand nice the miniatures. Wooden pieces, and it had nice cardboard. Nothing was too small to play with.
So what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're just doing it to mess with us now.
I wasn't like thrilled by the game. It was fun, but I'm like, I'm going to keep it because it doesn't take up any goddamn space.
Yeah.
Right? And now I have this option to play this quick, thinky Euro that just doesn't take up a bunch of space on my shelf.
Yeah.
I can fit 16 games of that size on my shelf or 2 of these deluxe games.
Nice.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. But I'm working on that.
Good.
That's going to be a year-long process, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
So this week we're going to talk about the new Invincible TV show, right? Mm-hmm. It's my favorite comic book of all time. Mm-hmm. I own the whole thing in trade paperback because I got into it after it had started, because it started in 2003 or so. Yeah. And I wasn't collecting individual comics in 2003. Mm-hmm. I didn't start collecting again. When I was a child, I did. Yeah. But as an adult, I didn't start collecting individual comics until we were in Idaho. So that was 2006, 7.
Yes, right. Probably.
But I didn't find out about that comic book, Invincible, until I found out about Walking Dead, which also started in 2003, but I didn't find out about Walking Dead until like we moved to Nashville.
So first, let's do the quote of the week.
I totally forgot. Okay, here's the quote of the week. Where's Rachel?
No, that's not the right one. No.
Oh. Superpowers don't always make you a superhero. Now, this is a quote by the character Duck from the novel Hunger by Michael Grant.
That's a good one, especially for this one.
I think it's a novel. Maybe. Who knows?
It's something written by Michael Grant.
It's a thing written by Michael Grant called Hunger with the character Duck saying superpowers don't always make you a superhero. I think that's appropriate. That's a good one. Especially, and we're going to be in spoiler territory for the first 2 episodes of the Invincible series, which is on Amazon Prime now.
Yeah.
There's 4 episodes out, new episodes on Fridays. So there's going to be spoiler territory, but it's going to be light spoilers, and we're not going to be like spoiling. Yes, we don't do super in-depth conversations here on these things.
Yeah. Also, you can get a feel of whether or not you like it.
Yeah.
And then for our, more squeamish people, we can watch it and tell you what happens so that you don't have to.
Yes. If you don't like, so Invincible is not your typical,
pretty gory.
Yeah. It's not your typical superhero story because there's like extreme violence in it.
Yeah.
The comic book is way worse in terms of extreme violence because you can just kind of do anything you want with if the guy can draw it, it can be done.
Right.
With animation and stuff, you have a time limit and deadlines and all that stuff. So they've pared back a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I do know that like our 14-year-old son was like, ooh, this is a great show. And then that scene happens at the end of the first episode.
Which we will talk about.
And he goes, his jaw drops and then he just turns to me and he goes pale white.
He's like, I think this is too much for me.
Yeah, I think this is too much for me.
Okay.
Totally fine.
I think that is perfectly fine. Now we're in kind of like a transitional territory with him because he's not a little kid anymore.
Yeah.
And he's becoming an older kid, like an older
teenager. He's a teenager.
Yeah. So he's becoming a young man.
Yeah.
And so now we have to go, okay, well, how much is too much? And I'll allow it to a certain point. But I always tell him, I say, okay, we can try it, but you have to trust your gut. So if you don't feel it, then you don't watch it. Don't push yourself through it.
He's very good about saying, I don't like this. This is not working for me. He doesn't try to be a
tough guy. He's not.
Yeah. He's like, I don't like that.
Yeah, because we give him permission to have those gut checks where he's like, okay, this is too much for me. I can't handle that.
Everybody should have permission to say, I don't like what's happening here, and I don't want to involve myself in it. I don't want to continue watching this or continue participating in this behavior. We shouldn't feel obligated to do things we don't like doing just because, somebody that we love or admire is doing that thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes towards peer pressure, ladies and gentlemen.
So it takes you off guard because it is animated in the style of like the animated Batman series.
Yeah.
So it is very like
the same house
stiff movements, and the animation style takes you into cartoon territory, at least for me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it'll be like like a bloody punch or something, and I go, oh, this is not a cartoon.
Also, in fairness, the first episode, so the episodes are about an hour long, so about 47 minutes with commercials, but there's not commercials on Amazon Prime. Also, I want to say this is absolutely not like, I probably don't need to say this, but this is not sponsored in any way by Amazon.
No,
we just have Amazon Prime, and I like this cartoon or this comic book so much, and then I asked you if you wanted to watch it with me. Yeah,
and it seemed like an interesting moral dilemma.
Yeah,
because as you get into the whole like characterizations and all that stuff, it becomes very clear of what's maybe happening, and then it's good character development, if nothing else. And so I thought it would be good and fun to talk about.
Yeah, so that way. So the whole episode plays out, and then they start rolling credits, and you're like, wait, there's like 10 more minutes, and then they go back into it, and then there's this scene, which this scene does not happen until like, I can't remember the exact issue, but it doesn't happen in the first 4 issues, right? But most of the other stuff happening in these episodes happens, sort of in the first, 6 or 7 issues of the comic.
So it's just like with Walking Dead, where
it's kind of rewriting the story a little bit. Yeah,
it's not the same as the comic book.
No, it's not even
not
close.
In the same chronological order.
It has a lot of the same story beats, and it has a lot of the same ideas, and they haven't like changed character names. They have, I think, added some characters, but so far they haven't removed any characters that I can tell. It's been a long time since I read all the way through the comic. The original comic opens with a scene of Invincible in action that then cliffhangs and doesn't get picked up again until the 4th issue, right? But then they go into like, here's the character Mark Grayson, here's his world a little bit. But in the animated show, it opens with the Mauler twins, who you don't meet until the 3rd issue, attacking the White House, which they do at some point in the comic books, right? So like all these pieces are coming from the comics. They're just not in the right chronological order according to the books.
And I think mostly like 80% of me feels like that's a good idea, because then you have the comic book readers, and then you have this new series, which is the same story. It's in the same world, but it's just told differently.
Right.
So you get something new out of it every, like if you're a comic book reader, then you get a different story. If you've never read the comic book, you're still getting the same goodness or the same storyline, the same characters, but it's just told differently.
Yeah, I've always felt that way about books and movies, or comic books and movies or TV shows.
Now, not always, because...
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
I always look at it as like, oh, it's just more of the thing I love.
Yeah.
Sometimes some things can be frustrating about it for me.
Yes.
But most of the time I'm just like, oh, cool, more Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead, more Walking Dead. Although this last season has been ever since they killed Beth, it was, sorry for that spoiler on Walking Dead, but ever since they killed Beth, it's just not been the same.
Yeah, it's terrible. But when I was a kid, I read Jurassic Park. Okay. Then when I was older, there was a movie, and I was like, okay, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And it was not. And I was very sad about it, and I was very mad. And so I've always refused that if I read the book, I'm not watching the movie.
But in that case,
or vice versa.
In the Jurassic Park case, though, for you had really like connected with that book, right? And loved that book.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I don't know why exactly, but it was just so well written. And it was like a grown-up book for me at the time.
Well, Crichton's an excellent writer.
Yeah.
I've everything I've read by Crichton, including Andromeda Strain, which was his first novel, I've thought was excellent. Mm-hmm. So I totally get that. But I hadn't read Jurassic Park when I saw Jurassic Park. So for me, that experience was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never know which one is going to be the worst one. So you could read or watch that one first. And then, because if I had watched the movie and then read the book, I'd have been like, oh, okay, this is much better. And I would have had a different experience. But because I went the opposite way, I was very let down and bummed.
I think most of the time it's safe to assume that the book is going to be the better vehicle for most stories if a book exists first. Yeah. Because the book is going to be able to explore things much deeper and wider and broader. Yeah. Because there's no limit there other than language in the reader's imagination, right? But the movie has to have, has to cut things.
Yeah, and it has to make money. Yeah. And it has to be, it's a different medium altogether. So now it's visual storytelling rather than reading every word and trying to get every
What I've been thinking about recently is with comic books, so that is already a visual storytelling.
Yeah, so that's my next question is that how does this the series compare to the comic where it's the same kind of storytelling?
So the series is so far, I'm liking it. Mm-hmm. I still think the comic's better.
Right. Okay.
And I don't necessarily mean it says better writing or better this or that. It's just that the comic takes its time telling you certain parts that they rush in the show. Because in the show, if you are a comic book reader, they don't need to hook you in to keep you're a comic book reader. Right. Right? Uh-huh. But they want this show to be popular. They need to get people who don't read comics to watch it. Right. So they need to get you in and, working through. Mm-hmm. Like the scene at the end of the first episode, that does not happen for a very long time in the comic books.
I see.
But they got to start hitting that story beat so that you are prepared when 13 episodes in, they give you the big reveal of why that happened.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Which they don't do in the comic book for a very long time.
Yeah. All right. So now. Yeah. This story is about a guy named Nolan Grayson, right? And he's a superhero called Omni-Man. We see him as a superhero working with the Guardians of the Globe. Now explain the Guardians of the Globe to me. Okay, are they just the generic versions of the Justice League? Because it's like Fast Man and like
Red Rush,
and like Amazing Woman, like
Warrior Woman. Yeah. So
help me out.
The Guardians of the Globe are, just a facsimile of like the Justice League or the Avengers. Okay. Right. Uh-huh. They fit more closely with the Justice League, and it's quite clearly a parody of some of those characters. Although there are some characters that don't really fit, like the Immortal. Mm-hmm. There isn't really a Justice League comparison because Omni-Man, who isn't part of the Guardians of the Globe, is kind of the Superman of the story. Yeah. But, Warrior Woman is Wonder Woman. Yeah. And Darkwing, I think, is it Darkwing? Darkwing is like Batman. Mm-hmm. And then they've got Red Rush, who's the Flash, clearly, right? And then they've got this I can't remember his name, but this fish, this guy looks like a fish and he shoots water everywhere. It's clearly Aquaman.
Oh, okay. Right. All right. So we see this Grayson guy and he's working with them, but it's clear that he's not part of them. Right. Part of their group, right? No,
he's his own separate thing. Yeah. And this is another thing. The Guardians of the Globe don't show up in the beginning of the comic book. They show up way later. Mm-hmm. But in the comic book, they spend a little bit more time convincing you that Nolan Grayson is like 1-to-1 Superman equivalent in this universe. Right. Right. So they don't do a lot of that in the show. They just get you straight to the action of it. Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then we see him as a father to his son, Mark.
Mark, yes.
And then we see him as a mushy husband to his wife, Deborah, who's played by
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh, who's really great. Yeah. And Omni-Man is played by Shisa.
J.K. Simmons.
All right. And then we see him as a possible villain. We're not sure. Towards
the end of the first episode, they do a big scene
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that. And then Mark Grayson, the son, is played by Stephen Yen.
Yes. Who played Glenn on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's a 17-year-old kid, and they show a flashback scene where his dad is telling him that he's from a different planet, right? What's the planet called?
Viltrumite.
Viltrumite?
Mm-hmm.
And that he will then...
Or Viltrum.
Yes, because
Viltrumite is what they are. Yeah. Viltrum is the planet.
Okay. Yep. And so then he will start to have powers, but he just needs to wait for them to happen, kind of a thing.
Right. And so he was expecting that to happen sooner. Mm-hmm. So there's there's a little bit of disappointment there that it hadn't happened before it did. Little bit of father disappointment, but nothing like that makes Mark feel bad, right? Necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mark feels bad because he's expecting the powers and they're taking a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now that he's 17, he's at his job one day and then he throws a garbage bag and he realizes, and it like goes
into space.
And he realizes, oh my, I'm getting my powers now.
Right.
And so his dad tries to like train him. And the very first time his dad takes him out to train him, he socks him in the gut like really, really hard. And the part that kicked me in the gut was he's like, Dad, you hurt me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sad.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes your parents have to be the one to like hurt you the worst almost, so that you go out there and you go, well, if I took that,
right, then
I'm going to be okay.
See now, and from my point of view, I know the whole story. Mm-hmm. I know everything that happens from beginning to end, or at least I couldn't quote it all to you, but you get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So I kind of get what's happening there.
Yeah.
But for some like new viewer doesn't understand anything, this happens before the end scene. This happens.
Yeah.
And you go, that was kind of a weird. Why would he do that?
Yeah. I thought it was pretty hardcore.
Right.
But I think most dads are like that because they go,
right,
my kid's got to learn how to live in the real world. And that shit is wild out there. So I got to teach him how to be tough.
Well,
when in
I
reality,
wouldn't punch my kids, but yeah.
No. In reality, you have not done that with our kids.
Right.
You have always tried to be like, okay, you're safe here, but you are not going to be safe out there.
Right.
So
here's some tools, but I've never like beat them up because to prove it to
exactly.
them. Yeah.
And so then his dad takes him to his costume guy.
Yeah, his tailor, and he's like, okay, well, you gotta have a name, kid. Then we can start working on your costume. Right.
And so he's trying to think about what his name should be, and then he's at school or something, and he goes, oh, you're Invincible, and so that's where his name comes from.
Right.
And so he goes back to this dude and gets his costume of blue and yellow and black, which I thought was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, they also do a nod to the comic book. So originally, in the comic book, the first costume he tries on has like, it's all orange and red. It has these discs on it. Mm-hmm. And they don't do this in the episode, but in the comic book, he goes, what's with all these discs on the thing? And then Art, the guy who is the costume guy, he goes, oh, that's when I still thought you and your dad had your powers from the sun, from solar energy. So it's like another nod to Superman. And then, Nolan goes, we all learn, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit more to that scene in the comic. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's like in the comic book, there's a little bit more they can do than they can do in the cartoon, but that's okay. I feel like they're hitting all of the major things and they're not really cutting anything that's vital or important. I do wish that they would spend a little bit more time on building the relationship between Mark and Nolan, because it's not a perfect relationship, but it doesn't feel like anything but a dad, a busy dad and son relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And they build that a long time in the comic book, so when that emotional thing punches you in the stomach, you're like, I cried. It's the first time I cried at a comic book.
Oh no!
Right, like. And that wasn't the first time I cried at Invincible. Over the course of that book, I cried several times.
Oh, wow.
It's a wonderful story, right? But it is ultra violent. Yeah. For sure. But that's part of why I think it's the best superhero comic that exists. Mm-hmm. And I think the show has the potential to be really great as well.
Yeah.
Another piece in the second episode, those aliens from another dimension attack, right?
The Flaxans.
Yes, the Flaxans.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how they introduced the teen team to the world, right?
Yeah.
And they're fighting and stuff. And then Nolan shows up and at the last minute and then goes into the portal and then destroys their world, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he's got a beard and he hugs. Well, in the comic book, that's totally different. He gets kidnapped by the Flaxans and held captive for 8 months.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a whole issue of the comic book where Nolan's gone.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, it's like 5 minutes, right? But you still go
like an afternoon or something.
you still go, he comes back with the beard and you still go, oh, he was gone a long time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But in the comic book, he is gone.
Right.
And then when he shows up, like he's like, I need to shave. And then Deborah goes, thank God. And she cries.
Oh, but in the show, she's just like, oh, that's just normal.
Well, she does do that in the comic too. But after that, like relief tear. And then they're at dinner talking and he talks about how he was trapped as a prisoner for 8 months when he had his power stripped and he figured out how to make an uprising. There's just, it's one panel, but there's so much story building there.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the show, you kind of have to
speed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then at the end of episode 1, all these global guardians, is that what they're called?
Guardians of the Globe.
Guardians of the Globe. Yeah. They're all like beep, beep, beeped on their watches.
Right.
Right. And so they all kind of regroup at their hideout or their like command center or something. And they're like, why did you beat me here? And they're like, no, I got the same message. And they're all hanging out. And then out of nowhere, Nolan shows up.
Right. But Red Rush senses him and tries to help the Immortal. Because Nolan's flying right at the Immortal to punch him.
Yeah. So Nolan starts attacking everyone. And I'm talking about ripping and slicing and dicing these dudes.
Crushing
and
heads.
you go, wait a minute. I thought he was the Superman to this group. I thought he was the good guy.
Yeah.
And he just starts slicing and dicing. And it's pretty gory. And Fast Man or whatever his name is, he's
Red
like,
Rush.
He's trying to help.
Yeah.
He's trying to help everybody. And he's all whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then even then he gets squished. His head gets squished.
Well, Nolan starts looking around and then catches his fist and then grabs his head and crushes his head. His eye pops out.
Ew.
And then everybody else is like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. At first they're like, why is he fighting us? And then when he kills Red Rush.
Yeah, he must be being controlled by something, they said even. And they're like, this can't be the real, what's happening? And then they're just getting sliced and like they did not see it coming.
No, he just completely.
And he's not saying a word.
No,
he's
of course
just
not.
on a mission to end the global team of America or whatever it is. He's done with it.
Right.
And I don't know why. And it's freaking me out. So that's the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Lots of spoilers. But
I'm hoping that anybody's watching that show, they've already watched those 2 episodes.
And if you haven't, go back. Anyway, episode 2.
Yeah, if you haven't, go watch the first 2 episodes and then come back and listen to this, right?
We should have said that in the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so not knowing who attacked the Guardians of the Globe, the Global Defense Agency investigate the attack.
Right. Again, they don't show up for a long time in the comic books as well.
Okay, so we'll leave the comic books to the comic books and we're just going to talk about the show.
They've kind of jumped ahead in time, and I think they might be doing that because they don't know how many episodes they're going to get.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and they probably want to tell a full story arc.
Mm-hmm. So after Omni-Man, takes them all out, he collapses. Probably due to exhaustion.
Well, no, because he was getting his ass kicked a little bit because they were hitting, like when he was crushing the Red Rush's head, the Red Rush was hitting him at hyperspeed in the chest.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the Immortals got super strength and Warrior Woman has super strength, right? So like they're all hitting him and trying to beat him up too, but he's just stronger.
So he collapses. So he's unconscious and the global defense people are like, oh my gosh, he's still alive. What could have happened? And so they're getting him medical attention and he's recovering, right? And then so there's nobody available when the Flaxens attack the city. And so now they introduce us to the teen team.
Yep.
And it's a team just of teenagers.
Teenage superheroes.
Yeah. So it's the Duplicate, Adam, Eve.
Duplicate.
Is it Duplicate? Okay.
Yeah.
Duplicate, Adam, Eve, and Robot and Rex.
Rexplode, yeah.
Yeah, Rexplode. Okay.
Which he doesn't really have powers so much as he's just really good with explosives.
And he's mouthy. I just don't like him.
He's super mouthy. Well, he's played by, I can't remember his name, but he was in The Good Place. Janet makes him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Neither can I.
I'll put it in the show notes.
And so Mark goes, or Invincible goes to help fight off the Flaxens. And the Flaxens are these multi-dimensional things. And they come into the environment and they're attacking the city and they're exploding heads and decapitating and like beaming bodies. And
well, they're a full army, full force army.
Yeah. So they come in and then they start aging really rapidly. And then the rest of them go like, and then the teens are kicking butt and the Invincible's even kicking butt in there. And then they realize, the Flaxens realize that they're aging. And so they retreat.
Right. But then they come back.
Yeah. Okay. Mark realizes he goes to school with this lady, Adam Eve, who everyone just calls Eve.
Right.
And then they talk about the invasion and she's kind of nice to him and she invites him to meet the other members of the team.
Right.
That's when we learn about all the team. And then the dudes, Cecil and Donald from the Global Defense, whatever, they're going over the crime scene. And then we're introduced to Damien Darkblood, who's a demon detective who looks like Hellboy with a detective hat on.
I think that he's in the comics, but I don't know. I can't tell.
But he has like some weird power where he can see what happened, but not really. He can see that someone's attacked them, but he can't really see who it is.
Right. Yeah, he's in the comic.
Yeah. That's funny. So Invincible.
I just Googled it for our listeners. I just Googled it. Damien Darkblood is in the comic.
That's crazy. So Invincible and Eve, they meet up and they do a little follow the leader thing. And then Adam, Eve, and Rex Explode kiss. And so now we know they're a couple.
Yes.
Which he's a mouthy jackwagon and she's kind of nice. So I don't know what that's all about.
Well, she's just dating him.
Yeah.
Right? Teenagers make weird dating decisions all the time.
Okay. And then the Flaxens come back. And in their dimension, it's been however many years.
Right. It's been a long time.
They come back and now they've adapted. So now they don't age.
They're more powerful.
Yeah. They're more powerful and they've all got wristbands that all keep them from aging.
Right.
And so Invincible shows up to like fight them off again. And he ends up saving Eve. Mm-hmm. And almost saving the team but he got so mad that Eve was being hurt and attacked because he kind of has a little baby crush on her. And so he gets really mad and he just gets all full powered and goes off a little bit. And then
is that in your notes?
Yes.
He goes full powered and goes off a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. He starts to like realize his own the extent of his own power. He's extremely strong.
Mm-hmm. And so then Nolan during that time wakes up from his coma and he's back to his old self seemingly.
Right.
But he says he doesn't remember anything.
Well, of course not.
And he's very touchy about his costume. I put down. He's very touchy about his costume.
Yeah, he needs it back.
And he doesn't care what kind of condition it's in, so just give it back now.
Well, he knows there's probably some evidence.
Right. Yeah. And so then him and his son do more training and he's still like talking down to him, even though he's been trying to, train and realize his powers even without his dad around.
Right.
So then that global guy, Cecil, goes to ask Nolan to like ward off a telepathic Cyclops dude named Alan.
Right.
Tell me about that, because I don't understand what that is about.
Well, Alan becomes a bigger character.
Yeah.
Probably why Seth Rogen's voicing it, but Alan becomes a bigger character later on.
So there's this dude out in space.
Well, he's a guy. So I don't want to get into super spoilers because it spoils more of the episodes you haven't seen and also more of the comic book.
Based on what we know at that moment.
Well, he's a character that goes around and tests the guardians of different planets to see if that planet has enough protection. And that's all I can tell you.
Okay. So Nolan sends Mark, Invincible,
right. And Nolan
to go and fight him off. And then they have this.
Right. They don't tell you this in the episode, but Nolan has actually fought Alan before.
Yeah.
But you don't find that out for a while. But so Mark goes up there to fight him. They have to do this in space. Mark can't breathe in space, so he has to literally hold his breath the whole time. And he's up there a long time
and they're having a conversation, and they're kind of like, getting along almost.
Yeah, Alan ends up becoming friends with Invincible later on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what his job is.
Yeah.
But the funny part here is that he has the wrong planet. He was supposed to go to Earth instead of Earth.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, oh, okay, we'll see you later. Like Seth Rogen, and then flies off.
The laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the Flaxens come back again. And by this time, I'm just like, all right, this is going to get annoying.
Well, they're trying to conquer.
Okay, I get it. So
they keep coming back with a bigger force and stronger weapons.
Yeah.
They come in and they're like, okay, that didn't work. We'll go back and regroup because their time goes different.
Yeah. So then Omni-Man to the rescue again, grabs the main dude and flies into the portal with the dude, and then just proceeds to wipe them out completely.
Yeah, he takes them back to the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Which does not happen. That didn't happen in the comic book at all. Yeah.
Stop saying that because it's going to be a thing.
Well, no, I think that's very important because that's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Right? In the comic book, he's captured and tortured for 8 months by that race.
Yeah.
But in this one, they just go, oh, wait, no, he just destroys them by like basically becoming a nuclear bomb for their whole civilization.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, cool. But it was a cool scene.
Mm-hmm. So we thought Nolan, we kind of almost believe that Nolan doesn't remember. He's just being super touchy because he kind of maybe has a feeling of what he did and all that. But now we know he's not a super nice guy. He's capable of decimation of an entire race.
Yeah, the scene doubles down on that first episode where they show that he might be a bad guy, actually. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. He also tells Mark, when he tells Mark that he's going to have superpowers, he tells Mark about his home planet and how when they come of age, they go away from Viltrum and they find a planet to protect and they become the sole protector of that planet. Mm-hmm. That explains how he's on Earth.
Right. And he's the only one of his kind and all that.
Right. Well, no, he's not the only one of his kind, but he's the only one on Earth.
On this planet.
Oh, yes.
And then he falls in love with Deborah and then they have Mark.
Right.
Okay, so at the end of the episode, the media releases that the Guardians of the Globe are dead.
Yeah.
And that the Damien Darkman, Hellboy guy, says the killer has to be one of the Guardians or Omni-Man because there was no one else in that room or that.
Well, he doesn't say that on the news.
No, but he says that to Cecil or whoever.
Yeah, so then Cecil starts keeping his eye on Omni-Man because Omni-Man's the only one left.
Yeah, and Omni-Man's being super shady about what he knows and doesn't know. And he gets super defensive and he's still touchy about his costume.
Well, I mean, he did it.
But now we know he did it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, we knew that he did it.
No, but you could kind of write it off and go, well, maybe he doesn't know.
Like he was scared. Controlled or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
He was either controlled or he's freaked out that he might have did it or that he knows more than he's thinking he did.
Oh, I could see that from the point of view of not.
If you don't know the comics, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know the story at all whatsoever. Yeah. So when someone goes, I don't remember, and they get super defensive, it's most likely because they're scared that maybe they had something to do with it or they couldn't stop it, they couldn't prevent it, you know.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Or that he was controlled. He just doesn't know. There's so many variables that he just doesn't know. And so he's being defensive about it. But now we know that he knows he's a bad dude and that he knows that he did it.
He knows that he knows.
He knows.
That he knows.
And now we know that
he knows. And now we know that he knows.
You know? That's one of those things. Anyway, I'm kind of interested in this. Not because it's a comic book really, but just because has all these like...
It's a different take on the whole superhero genre.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think that's what people who love the comic book love about the comic book is that it's not your standard superhero comic. It kind of pokes fun at the genre while also being a love letter to the genre. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, you can kind of take whatever view of it that you really want.
Yeah, it's a parody, but it's also saying, but I really respect and love these books. And this is how I grew up, and this is my love letter to them.
Yeah. And that superheroes, just because they're in a costume, like our quote, just because they're in a costume doesn't mean they're superheroes. They could be villain in disguise, or, you know, most superheroes aren't completely good.
Yeah.
You know, they have fallible
There's been other graphic novels that kind of like skirt that line, right? Like Hellboy. I don't think you could say Hellboy.
I love Hellboy.
Specifically is a super good guy, right? I mean, he is a prince of hell, but there's, you know, like The Boys. All of the superheroes in The Boys are totally bad guys.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's that one movie where the little boy is basically, it's Superman, but what if Superman was evil from the start?
Oh, goodness.
Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
No, I don't, but did I see it?
Yeah, you watched it with me. Brightburn. It was called Brightburn.
Oh, that's Brightburn. Yes. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And he just like, you know, he's flying around like a little kid. He's looking super evil.
He just got power hungry about it.
So there's stuff like that out there, but this is, I think, still different and original and unique. And I don't think there's anything else like it. Yeah.
And it, again, I just might be very naive, but the animated aspect of it, in my brain, it goes, oh, I'm watching a cartoon. And then something crazy happens. I go, I am not watching a cartoon. Right. This is not a cartoon that I'm used to.
They started doing that recently with, wasn't there like a Batman cartoon that was like an R-rated cartoon?
Yeah. And then there's the Harley Quinn one as well. And that's the first one that I watched that I was like, whoa, this is very different. This is an adult type of cartoon.
Is that the one where Penny from Big Bang Theory voices Harley?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she does a really good job as Harley.
Yeah.
I know that you're partial. I know you're partial to the big screen Harley, but you don't think she does a good job voicing Harley?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of hers, but.
No, but you don't have to be a fan of the actress to like her performance, right?
Sometimes. Sometimes you do.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's just the first 2 episodes. And we're going to do this in parts where we figure we'll record an episode of this every 2 episodes that we watch.
Yeah.
Or so. So this is Invincible Part 1.
Yes. And we have to put on there spoilers, big spoilers.
Yeah. I'll make sure.
But once again, you don't have to watch it because I did, kind of a thing.
Yeah, so you can just tell us the whole.
you could skip all the blood and guts.
Yeah,
because I've already seen them.
Find out the basic storyline. Yeah, that's really good.
Because I think it might be a good story, right? Because you like it.
Yeah, it's an excellent story.
Good.
Yeah, if you took away, I think that I don't think that all of the violence is necessary, but I think that there are specific portions of it that absolutely have to exist in the story for the story to make sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for talking to me about this. Yeah. I know that comic books aren't really your jam.
I want to like them. I just don't have a whole lot of like, you know.
Well, there's some stigma about comic books in the world, right? And
you know, and then there's the whole ruling of you have to go left to right, top to bottom. Well, there's you know, bubbles and people are saying everything. And so I don't know if I'm getting the whole
it can be distracting.
Yeah. It's a lot. It feels like it needs more attention than I have for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. If
that makes any sense.
But then this format is much better for you.
Yeah, because I am off duty at some point during the night, and then I can
get the story. Yeah. Without having to. It's and like I can
share a story that you like, that you know.
It's like with me and animes, and I can't watch them if they're subtitled because I can't read and watch at the same time.
Yeah, because you want to take it all in, and it's very difficult to do so when there's a language barrier.
Yes.
We're going to try an anime next, I think.
Oh, boy.
That'll be fun.
Sure.
Bryce has got a couple that we can watch.
Okie doke.
That are dubbed. You don't have to read them.
Oh, okay. That sounds fine.
Okay. So then your brain won't have to work so hard.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
The Lou and Me podcast is a Matthias production. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers. Produced and edited by Moose. Hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.